There's a large path of destruction here in town. Here pulling trees from the ground, shattering windows, taking the roofs off of homes.
That was me. In front of our house in Munson, Massachusetts last June, after an EF3 tornado ripped straight through our town and took parts of our roof off, I decided to stay in Massachusetts instead of pursuing the master's program I had moved my boxes home that afternoon for.
So on June 1st, we weren't disaster experts, but on June 3rd, we started faking it. This experience changed our lives, and now we're trying to change the experience.
So tornadoes don't happen in Massachusetts. And I was cleverly standing in the front yard when one came over the hill. After a lamppost flew by, my family and I sprinted into the basement. Trees were thrown against the house, the windows exploded. When we finally got out the back door, transformers were burning in the street.
So I was here in Boston. I'm a PhD student at MIT, and I happen to study atmospheric science. Actually, it gets weirder. So I was in the Museum of Science at the time the tornado hit, playing with the tornado display. So I missed her call. So I get the call from Katria. I hear the news, and I start tracking the radar online to call the family back when another supercell was forming in their area. And I drove home late that night with batteries and ice. We live across the street from an historic church that had lost its very iconic steeple in the storm. It had become a community gathering place overnight. The town hall and the police department had also suffered direct hits, and so people wanting to help or needing information went to the church.
We walked up to the church because we heard that they had hot meals, but when we arrived, we found problems. There were a couple large, sweaty men with chainsaws standing in the center of the church, but nobody knew where to send them because no one knew the extent of the damage yet. And as we watched, they became frustrated and left to go find somebody to help on their own.
So we started organizing. Why? It had to be done. We found Pastor Bob and offered to give the response some infrastructure. And then, armed with just 2 laptops and 1 air card, we built a recovery machine.
That was a tornado, and everyone's heading to the church to drop things off and volunteer.
Everyone's donating clothing. We should really inventory the donations that are piling up here.
Yeah, and we need a hotline. Can you make a Google Voice number?
Yeah, sure. And we need to tell people what not to bring. I'll make a Facebook account. Can you print flyers for the neighborhoods?
Yeah, but we don't even know what houses are accepting help at this point. We need to canvass and send out volunteers.
We need to tell people what not to bring. Hey, there's a news truck. I'll tell them.
You got my number off the news? We don't need any more freezers.
And
6
the insurance won't cover it? You need a crew to tarp your roof?
Someone get me Post-its! And then the rest of the community figured out that we had answers.
I can donate 3 water heaters, but someone needs to come pick them up.
My car is in my living room.
My Boy Scout troop would like to rebuild 12 mailboxes.
The puppy's missing and insurance just doesn't cover the chimneys.
My church group of 50 would like housing and meals for a week while we repair properties.
You sent me to that place on Washington Street yesterday, and now I'm covered in poison ivy. So this is what filled our days. We had to learn how to answer questions quickly and to solve problems in about a minute or less, because otherwise something more urgent would come up and it just wouldn't get done.
We didn't get our authority from the Board of Selectmen or the Emergency Management Director or the United Way. We just started answering questions and making decisions because anyone had to. And why not me? I'm a campaign organizer, I'm good at Facebook, and there's 2 of me.
The point is, if there's a flood or a fire or a hurricane, you, or somebody like you, are going to step up and start organizing things.